New episode of the Just Baseball Show, and man, is it great timing to be talking to you, Peter. Of course, I'm Aram Layton, and we've got a lot to recap. We've got ALDS Game 4s, NLDS Game 3s, and there won't be an ALDS Game 5 for Yankees Blue Jays, but we got a lot to talk about. It won't be all Yanks, Peter, and before we even get into that, who brought us this show?
BetMGM, sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? Because you get a first bet offer. That's why. You get a first bet offer. Paid back in bonus bets if you lose your first wager. It's a good idea to do it. It's a good idea. You know, use BetMGM. It's a good sports book. You can bet on the Yankees to lose. So free money every year.
If you used the Yankee, so if you had used the promo code Just Baseball, for example, and bet on the Yankees to win the World Series or to win the game today, you would get that back in bonus bets, which is a great promo. And then you could put it on a team that actually looks like it has a chance to win the World Series this year. So
actually, if you use that promo every single year since 2009, and actually every single year I've been alive and at least awake to watch these games, you would have so much in bonus bets, it would be unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's one way to think about it. I do want to say, great day of games, full slate, a lot of good games. I think that's the nice distraction, right? At least this postseason has been awesome, where, you can sit and, lament about the Yankees a little bit, but at the same time, like, there's either a sick game before, sick game after. There's a lot to enjoy. And I think you can just really focus on that moving forward, right? Like, we got a lot more postseason games to be excited about.
Yeah, and then after, maybe I might take up knitting or surfing or...
Yeah, surfing requires too much physical exertion. You'd be way too fit surfing.
Yeah, I need something that...
Knitting sounds good.
Yeah, knitting, just sitting on my ass, not looking at anything. Just
so do you want to start?
Dark void. Yeah, sure. Let's start.
Let's start with recapping the Yankees Blue Jays game.
Okay.
So
Game 4. I mean, I got the rundown. Let's just do it. Let's just do it, Aram.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Blue Jays win 5-2. Vladdy got going early. I'd barely turned on my TV.
That's what happens every time.
Rocketing a single to right field to score the first run, and my heart just sinks. I'm like, all right. Ryan McMahon would answer in the third with a home run, but that was the last good thing the Yankees did. George Springer gave them the lead in the 5th on a sac fly. Then in the 7th, Nathan Lucas drove in a run on a single. Then in the 8th, Miles Straw did the same. Of course he did. Something that Trent Grisham couldn't do. Drive in a run. He had 0 RBIs in the series, but it ain't about him. Aaron Judge improves his OPS to 1 trillion with an RBI single, but who cares? The Yankees stink again, and the Blue Jays are moving on. We talked about it yesterday with Fink, how the Yankees were going to have a good time beating up on a Blue Jays bullpen game. Absolutely not. They shut the door. The Yankees scored 2 runs. Cam Schlittler did all that he could. Didn't matter. Bad defense, bad play, and welcome to the annual fell for it again episode. I really did buy in again, and I'm just going to do this every year. We're going to get to this point. We're going to come on the show, and the Yankees will be a good team in the regular season. They're going to put up good numbers, and even you might buy in a little bit. Jack won't. I guess he was
I'm sending Jack a link. I know he's in Cabo right now, but if he wants to just jump in to show a little face here. Just to like, he wanted to unplug, but you know what? Maybe I'll plug back in. No, it's funny. I mean, this is where it's tough though. Like, it's funny because we talk about like the 54% thing. The Yankees are doing a really good job of the 54% thing.
Oh yeah,
win 4 or 5% more than 500. Go to the playoffs every year. Maybe you can make a run to the World Series. A lot of years you probably won't, but you'll get out of the wild card. And it's like, they'll never outwardly say that because the Yankees aren't pursuing the 54% the way that I think a lot of the more middle market teams are. But it is kind of funny that the thing that I bring up all the time, the 54% approach, like the Yankees are almost inadvertently falling into, which is from a business model, I think a good spot to be. I think the Yankees business is great. Yeah, as long as you're making the playoffs and getting out of the first round most years, business wise, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, and
And
that's
that's
all that
the,
matters, right?
yeah, all I care about is shareholder value,
as long
right?
as the Steinbrenners make more money, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the end goal for all of us
Well,
fans is shareholder value.
and Cashman job security. So
Oh yeah, he's gonna be there until I'm dead.
so I do want to go into this side of things, which is the Blue Jays. I feel like could have just about played any team in the postseason right now, and I think I'm taking them in that series.
Yeah,
And maybe that's silly. Like maybe the Dodgers beat them up. That might be the World Series preview. Who knows? But I just feel like the Yankees could have maybe beaten a lot of other teams. I think that there was a couple, I think, stretches where the offense did look bad. But then I think you could look at the Blue Jays pitching though and say, well, they may have created that, right? Like Savage may have earned that. I think it was less of the Yankees bats looking bad and more of Savage looking great, right? Like how much of this was Yankees disappointment in your eyes? Of course, you're going to be feeling the Yankees disappointment, but how much of it to you was Yankees disappointment versus shit, man, this Blue Jays team is good?
The only reason it's Yankees disappointment is because they lost.
Yeah.
It's not because the Yankees completely choked this away. This was the better team. The Blue Jays were the better team, and they deserve all the credit in the world. They do.
Yeah.
Setting the tone with Gausman and Savage in games 1 and 2, just destroying the Yankees. A perfect game plan by the Blue Jays front office and manager John Schneider. Hats off to them. The offense, relentless. They really brought their motto that they followed the regular season. Don't strike out, make contact, put the ball in place, see what happens. Cam Schlittler struck out 12 Red Sox. He struck out 2 Blue Jays.
Yeah.
We
He was good, but like they battled. Yeah. He was great to scatter 8 hits, but like he had to earn that, right? Like he had to really battle.
I thought Schlittler's stuff looked good. I
Yeah.
really appreciated. I mean, going into next year, I'm already saying going into next year.
Yeah, but going into next year, that is so exciting to have him in the rotation with Cole coming back and all that. But that's for another time. But
that's for another time. But the poise that he showed on the mound. But again, like the Blue Jays, he was coming off one of the greatest postseason performances of our lifetime.
Yep.
And he had similar stuff. Maybe the velo wasn't quite there, but I thought he was great. Yep. But it just goes to show the difference where a team like the Blue Jays, even with his best stuff, Cam Schlittler at home, they'll spray 8 hits against them. And yeah, two of the runs were earned, but he gave up 4 runs. You know why? Because they put the ball in play. They put the pressure on Jazz Chisholm, who ended up making that error. And, you know, I want to say, oh, Jazz, you got to make that play. Who cares if we don't hit? Who cares?
Yeah.
And the Blue Jays bullpen, I mean, John Schneider was surgical today with his placements of guys, taking guys out at the perfect time. You know, just a lot of credit to the Blue Jays. They did this all without Bo Bichette. I can't get over that.
And here's the other funny thing. I was actually talking about this with Griff a little bit earlier because we're just like marveling about the offense and obviously his best friend's Davis Schneider and so he's rooting for them. But we're like, okay, they're doing it with no Bichette, and then it was like, well, also they're imagine if they got the Anthony Santander they paid for. And like that guy could just get healthy and turn it on next series. And I think that's what the Blue Jays are hoping for just by continuing to put him out there. But remember, like, that's not some ridiculous wish. This isn't 5 years ago that Anthony Santander hit 40+ homers. That's the guy who they paid for this year. And he hasn't been that because of injury, right? So, like, imagine, like, this offense is already a wagon. Bichette back, and then Santander being, like, anything close to what he was last year. And this offense is just on a different level. But they're with Andres Gimenez essentially being an auto out, Bo Bichette being out, and Santander, I mean, just not being himself at all. They are still, I think, these just unstoppable offensive force. And it just seems like every single day, a different guy stepping up. Varsho comes down to earth today. He's 0 for 4. Addison Barger has 3 hits and a double, an insane one-legged swing, by the way. But like, that's what I think makes this team so good. Nathan Lucas doesn't play every game, right? David Schneider gets to start sometimes against lefties. So these guys are like kind of bouncing in and out of the lineup. Lucas has 2 hits and drives in 2 and has a double. I just, the way that this lineup can mix and match is really fascinating and fun for me. And I think we talked about underrated performers in the postseason. Ernie Clement, man, Like 2 more knocks today. The defense, the base running, he's even slugged a little bit. Like he has been awesome. So I look at this team and I say, how do you slow down this offense, especially when they add a Bo Bichette back? I think this was the one game where I look at it because I thought Savage just was fantastic when he dominated against the Yankees. This is the one game where I say you can blame the Yankees bats because yes, a lot of different relievers came in and looked good, but you got to get to one of these guys. No, how many relievers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they got to Fluharty for 1, and they got to Hoffman for 1 at the end of the game, which is I would have loved to have seen a clean inning from Hoffman. Now my heart rate is still going to be high every time he comes in, but I just feel like this is the game where you look at it. You have so many different pitchers. Figure one of them has to be off. By the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the relievers, none of which went more than an inning and 2/3, issued at least 1 walk. So that means the Yankees did have a lot of opportunities with runners on base here, and they just couldn't really do anything with it. I thought this was the most offensively frustrating game for me, for the Yankees. The other ones, I think you could give a lot of credit to the Blue Jays staff and just the way that they were able to battle. This is the one where I don't know. How do you feel? Like, do you feel like this was the most frustrating game offensively? Or did you just think that the bullpen just churned it out?
No, I mean, if this game was infuriating because they had their chances, like you said, and guys who you would hope would break out of a little bit of a slump use the momentum that Aaron Judge built for them yesterday, right? Aaron Judge hits that big home run. Yeah, exactly. Aaron Judge hits that big home run. Jazz Chisholm then follows that up with a huge home run and a bat flip. So you hope a guy like that comes back, but what does he do with runners in scoring position? Nothing, and then makes an error the next inning. Trent Grisham, I mean, incredible regular season. I loved watching him play. 30-plus home runs was an incredible find by Cashman, really just a throw-in in that Juan Soto deal. But then in the playoffs, he had 0 RBIs, Aram. 0.
Yep.
Aaron Judge had 6 RBIs, even though he hit 500 and had 13 hits. And yeah, he didn't come up clutch in every single moment, but for the most part, there was nobody on in front of him. That's the reason, is because Trent Grisham would never get on first base. Cody Bellinger, not a great series. Ben Rice, not a great series. You just go down the lineup. Anthony Volpe went, I was just like cursed loudly. Anthony Volpe went 1 for 15 with 11 strikeouts, Aram. Anthony fucking Volpe went 1 for 15 with 11 strikeouts. It looked like that labrum tear that he was dealing with in September completely tore his arm off as if he was swinging with only one arm.
Yeah.
It was just a pitiful performance in that game. Just that game. The games against Gausman and Savage, I give all the credit to them.
Yeah.
They were surgical. I mean, Savage was perfect. He literally did not allow a hit. And Gausman was just making pitches. And he has a history of dominating the Yankees. But it's funny, Gausman either has it or he doesn't. If you look at his game logs over the years, and if you've watched Gausman starts against the Yankees, it's like 3 innings, 6 earned, or 8 innings of 1-run ball. And he gave you the 8 innings of 1-run ball type outing.
Yeah.
So they just had no shot there. Then they actually show something, and that's what's the worst.
It's easier.
Just put me out of my misery in game 3. You shot it. You injected me with so much life. Just for them, that performance, I'm sitting on my couch just depressed.
Yeah.
Just watching it fly away. And the Blue Jays deserve it. It's not like, oh, we choked. It's on us. The Blue Jays don't deserve this. They deserve everything. They beat us in 4 handily. The only game that they lost, Aaron Judge hit a ball 100 miles an hour in on his hands.
Yeah, which Paul Goldschmidt said the best swing he's ever seen, and he said it was better than perfect, and I don't disagree at all.
They asked Cody Bellinger in the presser what was the most impressive part about that, and he just said that he hit it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, but then, of course, Louis Varland then comes in and does a job. right? That's the Blue Jays. That's been the Blue Jays all year. That's what separates this Blue Jays teams from the past.
Yeah.
This isn't the team that scored like one run in their wild card series. This isn't the team that had that massive blow up and ended up blowing it against the Mariners. First of all, why are there so many people watching this damn show? It's not that interesting right now. You guys don't have to watch it. Thank you all for coming in. I appreciate it. This was just all Blue Jays, and I fell for it again.
You were right the first time before you deleted the post that they were toast, and then I get it. They reeled you back in. Volpe, I want to say one thing on him, and I don't want to spend too much time on him because the guy's just been beaten to a pulp here. I really do think the shoulder is an issue, and I'll be interested to see if he gets like surgery or something done for it at the end of this year or like this off season. I understand that he's been a volatile hitter in his professional career, but to me, he looked like a guy, especially in this postseason, that just did not feel right. And you see guys with lead shoulder issues very much affected for long periods of time. We talked about it with like Bellinger and how long it took him to kind of get right. I do think for a guy that was already searching at points, I think it hurt Volpe. And remember, like the floor was always higher than this. Like, and if he's a 680 OPS, even then I don't think people are complaining as much. Or a 700 OPS.
We're complaining. 680. Okay. Like he needs to be better. I mean, we're running on 3 years. He's coming off 3-win season.
I think the injury, and I know Yankees fans
I know
are gonna motherfuck me and be like, stop making excuses.
No, it's true. It
had to affect him. It had to have. But to that point, why is he playing so much then down the stretch? If you think he's compromised, maybe Caballero should be playing more. But that's not the difference in the series anyways. I like Stanton is the big one for me because the way he was playing in the second half as really just sprinted after getting a late start to the season, you felt like, oh my gosh, they have this another layer. Judge has even more protection. And I think Grisham was the other guy that really made you feel like this offense has another layer to it. And for both of those,
and Jazz and Belly and Rice and all these guys,
but especially Stanton and Grisham, because like those guys, the way that they were playing, for them to no-show, 426 OPS for Grisham, 536 for Giancarlo, it just can't happen. And I think that's where it really became frustrating. And then on the flip side, you're looking who's going to step up for the Yankees in the way that, and I think you're asking the same question for both these teams, right? For the Yankees, it's who's going to step up for the Yankees, and you're just hoping someone does. For the Blue Jays, you say who's going to step up for the Blue Jays, and you're excited to find out which guy it is. And I think that's the biggest difference because it's like it was whose turn is it for the Blue Jays, and it's who the hell is going to step up for the Yankees. And that's the thing, though. It's 5-game set. Like you don't have time to turn things around and get hot and get right. And maybe some more experimenting should have been done. Maybe Caballero should have been playing a little bit more. Maybe you should have found a few more ABs for Jason Dominguez. But it's tough because the guys that were performing, like they performed most of the year, and you're going to play the percentages there. So it's really hard to say that you need to bench Grisham, right? Like he's one game away from heating up, and it just sometimes that game doesn't come. And unfortunately, that was the case for Grisham, Jazz, Stanton, and even Belly. So it's disappointing, but I really do think that the Yankees just played pretty mediocre ball. I didn't think they played that bad, and I thought the Blue Jays played great. And I think the Blue Jays are as confident as any team in Major League Baseball right now. I think
they should be.
If the Dodgers have their defending champ swagger and a bunch of Hall of Famers that been there, done that. So of course they're going to just ooze confidence. But I think the Blue Jays are really feeling it now. And I think they believe they can do this thing, and they should believe they can do that. And it's just not a team I want to run into right now. That's all I can say about this ball club. And the fact that they didn't have to use Savage now too, a guy whose workload has already, been monitored throughout the year. And now, he's going to be even more fresh for the next series, I think is huge, right? They pulled him even a little bit early anyways. And then he didn't have to throw in relief or anything in the series. Having a fully fresh Savage as well. We'll see what happens with Bichette. A lot of things trending in the right direction for the Jays, who are already playing great ball.
Do you know how embarrassing it is to watch Vladdy and David Ortiz on MLB on Fox scream, "Duh, Yankees lose"?
I loved it.
Everyone on earth loved it. That is so embarrassing. And what can I say to that? They earned it. They deserve to say it. They came in, Jazz saying we're going to go win the division, then we're going to go win the World Series. The confidence coming out of Aaron Boone. And the Blue Jays said, well, we won the division. Let's see you win here in Toronto. And they win, they put up 23 runs. And then you go back to New York, and the Yankees have their game. They show, hey, we're a playoff team. They are a second-round exit team.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays are a team heading and wanting to go win the World Series. And again, I can't give them enough credit. This is a team that was 20 games out from what the Yankees were last year. This is a team that going into the season, a lot of us, we didn't think much of the Blue Jays. But this plan, guys stepping up all season long. Ernie Clement was a pest in the best way possible. You mentioned yourself, Addison Barger. Alejandro Kirk is one of the best catchers in baseball.
Yeah.
Vladdy,
so wrong about that guy.
Vladdy is a rocket ship. I mean, you can't pitch to him. You cannot pitch to him.
It's just one of the best stretches I've seen. I can remember. I mean, it's from just a pure hits perspective, but then the big home runs too. Like to be doing both like that is just crazy. And then their staff is holding it up, man. And I think that's the part I'm really interested to see going into next series. Like I still have a little bit of concern. Like are these relievers? How much trust do we have in them? But Eric Lauer again, like ending in 2/3. I think they could have got more out of him if they wanted. They're gonna have a lot of guys fresh now going into the next series, and I think that puts them in a really good spot. I'm also very interested to see if they adjust and does Scherzer end up grabbing a spot on the next roster? What does that look like? I don't know, but they have a lot of options, which is always a good thing. My last question for you before we move on to the other series and other games is, how much more confidence did this series give you in the Blue Jays? And what do you think this realistic ceiling could be for them?
I mean, I think they're going to go to the World Series. Like we're going to talk about, we're going to preview the CS and, the Mariners and the Tigers still have to go up against each other. And I need to dive into those matchups. But what I see from the Blue Jays is a really well-oiled machine that is built for the playoffs because they can hit home runs. It's not like they're the Guardians, even those teams that went on runs that just made so much contact that
they got a lot of guys that could leave the yard.
And what if Anthony Santander gets hot? What if Bo Bichette comes back? All of these guys can go yard, but then you have your Ernie Clements of the world that are consistently putting pressure on the other team. And then when they're on defense outside of Anthony Santander and Wright, they can all go get it.
But then they put Straw in, and Straw goes and makes an insane grab.
They don't have the best bullpen in the world, but they have a good bullpen. And when you have Gausman pitching like that, Bieber struggled. I think we all expect him to bounce back. But Savage, when a guy that good just catches lightning in a bottle, you can ride that all the way to the World Series. We just saw what Cam Schlittler did. Yankee fans didn't even know his name 2.5 months ago. And now he's the guy where we're like, you're kind of our ace now.
Yeah.
Right? Savage can be that exact guy. And he didn't get as much media attention as Schlittler just because Schlittler's a Yankee. I'm sorry to say, it's just the truth. The Yankees are going to get more media attention. But Savage threw a 5 1/3 inning no-hitter against the Yankees. We can't forget a reason why even you bought into the Yankees in the playoffs. They had the best offensive numbers in baseball. And Savage told them to go suck it.
Yep.
Like that was easy. That looked like he was throwing to a little league team for fun.
And the edge that he had is that the Yankees had never seen him. And guess what?
Going to see him.
Whoever they play in the next round has never seen him throw either. And it's an outlier release that's going to, at least in the first game, a great chance that it's going to make them uncomfortable and they're not going to really see the ball well. So that's already an edge that they have. So I think they can absolutely get to the World Series. And then once that happens, I mean, it's anybody's game. And I think it's exciting for baseball. I think the Blue Jays, this organization is invested in winning. They've spent money. They've tried to spend money in other occasions too. Like they were very serious about Ohtani. Like this is an organization that is not playing by the profits and I think the 54% thing is much. Like this is an organization that is trying to be competitive and win a World Series and put the best talent possible on the field. And I'm glad that they're getting rewarded for that, even though some of their big signings haven't made a ton of sense. I like that they're going for it. And it's funny that this organization, I had zero confidence in their pitching development over the last couple of years. Now that's turned into a strength, and they're already reaping the rewards here, not just with Savage, the guy that they drafted after Savage, they traded for Shane Bieber. So like this organization that was clueless in the pitching development department circa 2023 is now using that as the strength. So I really admire where they're at already. I think you're seeing how much has changed and how much, they've been able to look within without tearing it all down to the studs, front office wise, and actually figure things out. So I've done a lot of Ross Atkins slander. So I gotta give him a thumbs up here, man. It's been really impressive, and very excited to see this team continue to play in the CS, and we'll see who ends up matching up against them.
Yeah, one last thing. I mean, it's one thing to say that I think the Blue Jays are going to make the World Series, and it's another thing to put money on it. I literally bet on BetMGM a World Series matchup, Dodgers versus Blue Jays. I forget if I bet it after game 1 or game 2, because I thought to myself, we're going to lose the series. I could just already tell. I could tell that this was a bad matchup for us, that we were going to be the team that was kind of waiting on the home run ball, even though during the regular season, the Yankees weren't that team. And I think that's another reason I bought in, was because I don't feel like we're this 3 true outcome offense anymore. And I was so excited to see that unfold in the playoffs, right? Grisham, Jazz, Belly, they're dynamic, right? It's not the same. Yeah, we lead baseball in home runs by 10, but they still led baseball in home runs. And then what do? They just fail again, fail again and again and again and again and again.
And I'm very excited to do the Playing GM episode in the coming months for the Yankees, because I think it's going to be a fun conversation and a lot of interesting wrinkles there. We still got 3 games to recap from today's absolute banger of a baseball day. But before that, take a quick break here. That whoosh thing is so cool. Never gets old to me.
I know, it's like the coolest thing that we do, this little whoosh thing. And you and I just sit here and watch the whoosh.
The logo spins around. It's like, man, we're big.
Do you see this? People who's listening to the Just Baseball Show, we're leveling up a little bit. You see the whoosh? You see the whoosh?
People are just listening on audio and just like, that was just a whoosh. You have to see the graphic if you're watching live with us or watching on YouTube. I've always wanted one of those. Which game you want to do next?
I want to talk Tigers Mariners.
Okay.
This series is getting awesome. Game 4, Mariners Tigers. Tigers win 9-3. It was all Seattle early, as they had a 3-0 lead going into the bottom of the 5th inning. It started via Dominic Canzone, who was maybe getting signs from Josh Naylor on second. Maybe he was trolling. I have no idea, but he timed up a Casey Mize splitter perfectly to drive in the game's first run on a single to right field. In the 4th, Seattle loaded the bases, and Victor Robles grounded into a double play, which scored 1, and the bases loaded curse lives on in the playoffs. Cal Raleigh drove in the 3rd run in the 5th on an RBI single, as he just continues to crush baseballs. But in the bottom half, Tigers showed some life against Bryce Miller, who really turned in an excellent outing until this inning. Dylan Dingler brought in the 1st run on a single, and Jahmai Jones, clutch pinch hit RBI double. And then Javier Baez drove in the tying run on a single, and we got a ball game. Seattle was blanked from there, but the Tigers went ballistic. Riley Green hit a rocket 454 feet, as did Javier Baez, a 2-run shot. Gleyber Torres joined in on the home run party in the 7th, and it was all Tigers as they move on to Game 5 in Seattle with Tarek Skubal on the mound. I did say at the beginning how many people were discounting this Tigers team. Everybody. And I thought to myself,
I heard the episode because I was traveling that day, so I tuned in. Jack's gonna stay in Cabo, I think, if the Tigers win Game 5.
Yeah, I texted him. After the win. Let me see what he said. He said something hilarious. I think he said, "I'm gonna jump off the Empire State Building if that happens." What did he say? Let me find the text with him.
I'll
swan dive off the Empire State Building.
He had so much for a guy that's always like, oh, it's baseball. You never know. Anything can happen. No, they have zero chance.
But it was everyone else too. It wasn't just Jack.
No,
like,
I was siding with
Jack,
him too. I didn't. I really didn't. I wasn't giving the Tigers much of a chance either. And maybe that's on us because not you, but on everybody else because they were just there, right? Like they just made a run. It's a lot of the same guys, and I understand they look terrible in the second half, but they looked really good in the first half too. So like if we were going to weigh them down that much too, you got to build them up a little bit, and then remember that they were there last year. If they weren't there last year, the tale of two halves would spook me a little bit more, but they were there. So, maybe it was a little bit more harsh. And I think this is another one where it's are the Mariners playing poorly? I don't think so. You just laid out the way things like shook out. We talked about it. I thought the Casey Mize yank was early, but
really early. It didn't end up hurting AJ Hinch, but that was very out of character for him.
Yeah.
Removing him just after 3 innings. Like, I get it. A lefty is coming up. He went 3 innings, struck out 6. The stuff looked really good. The splitter was really good. Yeah. Right. So I think he was a little bit nervous that the game would get away from him. But then you throw in like these lefties and then you immediately see that backfire. And then you have to go to Finnegan in the same inning. You're just wasting bullpen arms. Yep. Like, trust that Casey Mize's stuff was there.
He owes Troy Melton.
Melton's a beast.
He owes Melton a huge thank you because I think we're having a totally different conversation. I still think they win the game because of the offense, but I think we're having a different conversation if Melton doesn't bridge to Will Vest by going 3 shutout innings with 3 Ks, because as you mentioned with Holton and then having to get 2 innings out of Finnegan, like you got 4 more innings to go here. And like you've used some of your better bullets, and the fact that Melton could give them that really, I think, lessened the blow of potentially pulling Mize too early. Did he maybe do that knowing that he could get 3 out of Melton short? But are you assuming that Melton's going to give you 3? I think that was a really, I think, underratedly huge 3 innings from Melton. This series, though, I feel like the Mariners are playing pretty good ball, and this is just a Tigers team that won't go away. I didn't think they'd have 13 hits and 9 runs in them in really any individual game, let alone getting to who we were just talking about, Gabe Spire.
Yeah.
And maybe Spire is just tired. Like
we were talking about in the Discord. It's like as soon as we hyped him up, but deservedly so, then he gets crushed. It's just the thing in these playoff series. It's like when you're going to the same bullpen arms over and over and over again, it's not just Spire, it's Bizzardo as well. Like once you've seen them time in and time out, and they continue to come up in good spots. That's why I was listening to the Marine Layer pod. They made a clip about this game, and they were both kind of speechless. And I understand so, because it's like, well, these were our guys. It wasn't like Dan Wilson made stupid decisions, from the dugout. It wasn't that we made horrible errors and there's stuff to blame. We put out our best guys, and they just hit our best guys. Well, and that's got to feel so good if you're a Tigers fan being like, we just hit them yesterday. And I think that's the Mariners. A reason why I was a little bit skeptic is that we were already crowning them before they've earned anything. Like the Tigers last year swept the Astros in the wild card round. Yeah. Like this team is managed by AJ Hinch, who I know he made a questionable call taking out Casey Mize. Thankfully, it didn't matter.
They didn't lose.
But I think he's the best manager in baseball. The Tigers are a better defensive team. I think they're a better base running team. So if games are close, Tigers can win on the margins. And the Mariners.
That's why I'm shocked at the way that they won this game. Because that is like not like I agree. I would have thought, okay, they edge them out 4-3 or whatever. Like offensive barrage. And I would have said, oh, well, maybe, the Mariners went to some of their lesser bullpen arms, as you mentioned. No, I think you bring up a great point, though. You've seen Spire. That was the 3rd time they've seen Spire. What is that? The 4th time they've seen Bizzardo. Yeah. So relievers, a big part of what makes them so nasty is that you don't see them that often. And so in these playoff series, as you alluded to, you see them a lot more. And I think there was just some more comfortable at-bats this time, and they don't miss the mistake this time. And I mean, it just seemed to really invigorate this Tigers team to be back home as well, because it was everybody, like top to bottom. And I actually shouldn't say everybody. The fact that they scored 9 runs and Kerry Carpenter in the leadoff spot went 0 for 5.
Yeah,
it really was everybody else. Like you have your best hitter 0 for 5, and Colt Keith also 0 for 4, and then you had 2 hits and a homer from Glaber. a big homer from Riley Green, 2 hits from Torque, 3 hits from McKinstry, a big swing and a walk from Dingler. And then off the bench, and this is where Hinch, again, just like you pinch hit for Meadows. Jahmai Jones has a big double. You bring Wenceel Perez in. He picks up a big double. And then Javi Baez, he's the MVP of this game, probably. He drove in 4. So that guy in the 9 hole, I mean, you got to give love to Javi Baez as well, who, I mean, is been a decent contributor for them, I think, in this series. His hits in his last 3 games, and he's not punching out too much. And he's going to play good defense.
The Tigers, they play the matchups like you just said. And, even yesterday when Fink and I were talking about their offense, we said they're probably going to have to win in a low-scoring game because of how they're hitting right now. And I think that's carried over into at least the beginning analysis going into the postseason and why a lot of people weren't buying in on the Tigers. Because of recency bias, they had this idea of the Tigers when they watched them in September go 7-17. And then we even noted that at the beginning of that series preview, saying it doesn't really matter. These teams can wipe the slate and get back to what the Tigers were for the majority of the season, which was one of the best teams in the American League. And I feel like because of that recent slide, a lot of people just discounted them. I was just like, oh, well, that's how they're going to play. And then in this series, the offense doesn't look all that great. But they had a couple of outbursts against the Guardians, but because the Guardians weren't exactly a flashy team, we're like, oh, of course they'd beat the Guardians. So then they didn't get credit for that. But now they're going toe-to-toe against a lot of people's World Series pick.
Yeah.
And doing perfectly fine. And now it's in T-Mobile. Tarek Skubal's 0-3 against the Mariners. Jorge
Which is
Polanco,
why I feel like he can't be 0-4.
That's why I think it's going, because I said it even at the beginning. If you give me 2 Skubal starts and I got to win 1 home game, how do you not feel good about that? Yeah. Now, if the Tigers are in a 7-game series, I think things get a little bit different. But again, the Mariners are managed by a first-year manager. We'll see how Dan Wilson, AJ Hinch, that they go head-to-head in a Game 5 scenario where every decision matters to the nth degree. And who would you rather have? What pitcher would you rather have? I know the Mariners are at home and they have technically the better roster, but what have the Yankees proven? Having the better roster doesn't mean shit.
No.
And you know what? The Mariners kind of remind me of the Yankees teams.
Oh, gosh.
Great rosters.
So before I get into some more on the Mariners, just something that's interesting too. Like, again, we saw this Tigers team make a run last year, obviously. And I'm comparing the lineups. This is the lineup from the game that when they lost Game 5 to the Guardians last year, compared to the lineup now. It was Justin Henry Malloy in the leadoff spot, who was then pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter, who had 3 at bats.
Good. I'm glad Kerry didn't start.
Yeah, I'm good. I was always crashing out about that. Matt Vierling in the 2-hole, Riley Green in the 3-hole, Andy Ibanez batting cleanup, who then was pinch hit for by Colt Keith, Wenceel Perez, Spencer Torkelson, Parker Meadows, Jake Rogers, and Trey Sweeney. You compare that to Kerry Carpenter, Gleyber Torres, Colt Keith, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, who's just far better this year, Zach McKinstry, who's just a completely different player, and they also didn't have on the team in that spot. Dylan Dingler, who is just far better than Rogers. I think it's pretty clear. And then not even mentioning Jahmai Jones. Of course, you still have Wenceel Perez. And then Javi Baez is just a better option than Trey Sweeney was in that stage, I think. It's just a far better lineup, I think, when you look at it. And they still have Sweeney and Rogers on the bench if you really liked those guys last year. So it's not like they're totally gone. But Jahmai Jones just having to be that bench piece now that they can deploy. But I'm looking at just a better Torque, a better Riley Green. I know you can talk about the strikeouts. Gleyber is just a huge addition to this team compared to what they had last year. McKinstry, who was an all-star, and Dingler, it's so much better from an offensive perspective. So, again, another one of those things where hindsight is maybe forces you to recalibrate. But you look at it and say, well, maybe we were being a little bit harsh on this team. And again, it's not sexy, but it was not even remotely sexy last year. And at that point, we're like, oh, well, they're 1 game away from, getting to the CS there. So they can win it. But, I wonder if the Mariners are going to feel the pressure in Game 5. It is back home. You're facing Skubal. And your front office, went all in here, and I love that they did. This is a group that, like, you look at Geno, is he going to be there next year? Probably not. You look at Naylor, is he going to be there next year? Probably not. Doesn't mean that the Mariners can't reload and add those guys. But this is a team where the expectation was going in to win this series. And now, do you play game 5 afraid to lose it? And I don't think they will, but does Wilson manage that way? That's where the Hinch advantage could come along. I don't know. But I do think that they at least have the confidence that they could beat Skubal because they have. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. What's your vibe going into this game 5?
Kind of what you said. The Mariners got to prove it. And again, they've proven they can beat Tarik Skubal. But unfortunately, you got to prove it again. And that's the position that they're in. Now they're at T-Mobile, where they've been great all season long. But it's Tarik Skubal in an elimination game. I just can't get past that. And Mariners fans go, we beat him 3 times. We beat him 3 times. Why are you guys freaking out about Tarik Skubal? We beat him 3 times. I've seen all the comments. I get it. Me personally, sitting on this chair, I'm thinking about Tarik Skubal in an elimination game on full rest. He's the best pitcher alive. I feel like he's going to not make the same mistake to Jorge Polanco. And if he doesn't do that, we have a different ball game. Now, is it possible that they can beat him? Of course it can, because George Kirby is going to be on the mound. But here's another thing. Tigers have done pretty damn well against him. And then if you're telling me those same bullpen arms that came in, the Tigers have now finally seen. Now, the Mariners have also seen the Tigers' bullpen arms. So could that be the game where Skubal exits and then they get those runs? But when is he going to exit? Is he going to exit in the 7th, in the 8th? Remember, he's also pitching in T-Mobile where it's really easy to pitch.
It's 4 days rest, but I don't really care about that with him too much.
He doesn't care either.
Well, in the last time when they got eliminated, and you might look at the box score last year where Skubal pitched on 4 days rest. He gave up 5 earned in 6 innings. It was that grand slam. But
yeah,
he was great up until that grand slam.
Yeah, and who knows? That could happen again.
It was one swing. I thought he was great in that outing on 4 days rest. The stuff was not an issue. He was touching 100. Like, he was fine.
Yeah, so, just to wrap up on the series, like, my pick would be the Tigers because I know that I have a manager that I trust. I know I have Tarik Skubal that I trust. And I know I have enough bats, especially Kerry Carpenter against George Kirby, that I think would make the difference. And that edge that the Mariners then have where now they're going to jump back on that Tigers bullpen. I don't think they're going to see him much. I think it's going to be Skubal to Vest. I think it's going to be similar to what Garrett Crochet told Alex Cora in the Wild Card Series. You're calling the bullpen once, and you're giving it to Chapman. In this case, you're giving it to Vest. So if the Mariners can beat that, 4 days rest, we'll see. Maybe they can. Of course they can. They are the Seattle Mariners. They are the quote-unquote better team. But this is the reason why I chose Tigers in 5, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I honestly, going into this game, if I was picking the game in a vacuum, I agree with everything you said. But I got to stick with my Mariners pick. But I think going into this, you got to feel pretty good if you're a Tigers fan and feel like you got a pretty good shot here. So I think it's going to be a great game regardless, and I'm very, very, very excited for that one. I think it's going to deliver. You pick. Absolutely. What's the next series you want to get into?
All right, or can we do the whoosh thing again? It's really cool.
Let's rip a quick whoosh. But then we got 2 more to pick from. We've got either Cubs Brewers or Phillies Dodgers. Before that, let me send you on another. I can't find the whoosh. Real professional operation we've got here. It's late, man.
Everyone just cut you off, and it was like, I can't find the.
I found it. Yeah,
right,
it's late. It's late, but both good games again. We got. I thought the series. I thought both. If you asked me before, I thought at least one of those series would end today as we're recording this. So that one of Cubs Brewers or
I thought the Phillies were done. I thought the Phillies were done. I thought, thinking I did talk about it yesterday, I was like, I do have a feeling the Cubs coming back home because it's different. They're coming back home, right? We saw what the Yankees did when they come back home. Does that mean that the Cubs are going to win the series? No, probably not. The Brewers are probably going to. But coming back home with Tyone, who has been their best pitcher, I was like, I actually think they do steal that game. Where the Phillies were going from the bank to Dodger Stadium to go take on Yamamoto. I swore.
Sport makes no sense, dude.
Makes no sense. That's why it's the best. That's why it's the greatest game ever played. Let's talk Brewers Cubs. First inning saw most of the run scoring as the Brewers started it off with a sac fly from Sal Frelick. but it shouldn't have even happened, as a high infield fly ball landed in the middle of the diamond, and it looked like the entire team lost it in the sun. Quinn Priester just didn't have it today, and the Cubs pounced immediately as Michael Busch hit his 3rd home run of the postseason. He's awesome. Then PCA drove home 2 on a single, and then a wild pitch allowed Ian Happ to scamper home to give Chicago a 4-1 lead, and that was all they needed. Jake Bauers was in the middle of everything. He drove in the second Brewers run on a single, hit a home run, and struck out with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the 8th. Cubs bullpen only allowed 1 run in 5 innings, and the Brewers threw 7 1/3 of shutout baseball after Priester exited. One thing that I'm really disappointed in this game, and it does make me nervous about the Brewers going forward, because I think they're going to win the series. What was that, Priester? And maybe it's because I had a lot of faith going into him in this game, but you're up 2-0, winds blowing in at Wrigley. Why are you pussyfooting around the strike zone? And maybe it was a release point thing. Maybe it was a mentality thing going into it. I can't explain it. I haven't seen that all year from him.
No.
And because he's so good at pounding the strike zone with that sinker slider combo and getting ground balls and being efficient. Sometimes he can run into some command issues. He has a 7% walk rate. It's about league average, right? He's not perfect every time. But the vast majority of his outings, he's pinpoint and he's getting ground balls and he's incredibly efficient. In this one, like from the jump, just incredibly uncompetitive pitches. And I'm wondering, is that nerves in your first ever playoff game? Is that a release point thing that you just didn't have it, right? His last start was on September 26th.
That's what I was
going to say. It was a rust thing. But the reason why I'm not going to give it all to rust is, who's the best organization at coming up with a plan? Like, they didn't just throw Priester out there and be like, oh, I hope you do well. Like, the Brewers are as surgical with all of their decisions as possible. That's why they're at this point. That's why they led Major League Baseball in wins. So I would be more surprised if Quinn Priester comes after you. I was just rusty. I feel like it was somewhat of nerves, which I understand if you're a human being in your first playoff game at Wrigley. I was just at game 2 of the Padres series. That crowd is incredible.
And he's
that is a tough atmosphere. And he's a Chicago kid. Like, I get that. It's hard for me to think it's rust. Maybe it's a combination of everything.
I think it could have been a slew of everything, right? You have the rust, or at least maybe you're a little bit anxious because you haven't thrown in as long. So the anxiety picks up a little bit more. What's interesting too is a Chicagoland kid. There was one outing where he walked 5 batters this year. One. And he didn't pitch long enough to walk 5. I think if you left him in there, he might have walked 5. It was 2 walks. And
you'd have walked 10.
5 walks
against the Cubs
at Wrigley.
Yep.
At Wrigley. I don't know. Like, maybe there's nothing there, but this is a dude that's a really, really solid high floor arm that you feel like is going to go out there and maybe even when he's not perfect, it's going to give you 4 or 5 innings and maybe it's 4 runs, but you got a shot, right? And it just that was I think one of the rougher versions of Priester we saw, and I do think 12 days off, then going into an environment like that's already tough, and then even more tough for the Chicagoland kid. It was definitely a tough spot to be in. And I'll bet on that dude bouncing back next time around, but I'm with you. Like, you put them behind the 8 ball kind of early, and then Quintana rattles off 3 scoreless. And the unfortunate part is that no one else gave up a run, right? Like the rest of the the rest of the Brewers staff was fantastic.
I mean, the Brewers bullpen is so awesome. Like, Chad Patrick, they just throw him back there and he's now shoving in the playoffs. Of course they are. I love this Brewers bullpen. The Brewers are going to get past the Cubs. I have no problem. I'm just saying, I'm more thinking about them
next series.
Because I'm thinking about the Dodgers. And it's like, all right, because Priester, you bet on him to bounce back against the Dodgers? Like, again, and if they don't have Woodruff, is it just all bullpen games? And now this bullpen is as good as we saw the Dodgers last year. Of course, they had this great offense, but they didn't really have much starting pitching, and they flew through the playoffs because this bullpen was out of this world. It's just, how much longer can the bullpen dominate? That would be my only question. But I am concerned about the starting rotation, and I was just so thrown off by Quinn Priester's performance because it was so unlike him. And maybe it's just a Wrigley thing, because
It might be.
his ERA is actually better on the road this year, 2.91 compared to 3.82 at home. So he's been great in these spots. So maybe it is just a Wrigley thing, but I can't fathom that. There's no way it's just a Wrigley thing.
Second best start for him this year by game score at LA against the Dodgers on July 18th, 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 Ks. So maybe he can channel that. I mean, you're giving him the ball and you're going to try to feel pretty good about it. Shout out Jackson Chorio, absolute grinder.
Dude,
just playing on that hammy,
good.
playing on that bad hammy is crazy. Yeah. But I going back to the Cubs side, and I'm glad they were able to hold on here. Shout out the pitching staff again. Like Jameson, they're not playing baseball anymore if not for Jameson Taillon.
Yep.
Not just this game, multiple outings where he's giving them 4 really good innings.
The entire second half. In the last 2 months, he was an ERA under 2. He had a better ERA over the last 2 months than Cade Horton did.
And then Brad Keller, another guy. They are not here without Brad Keller. But they get that. It felt in the way it's felt, especially against this Brewers team in the series, like, okay, yeah, you're up early, but I've bet the Brewers on BetMGM, right? Like they held on though. And I think that is a testament to, again, Counsell dropping Palencia in the right spot. He loves Palencia in like the 5th and 6th. It works. And then Kittredge to Thielbar to Keller and just pressing the right buttons there. Shout out to PCA putting together a big swing there to drive in 2. Kyle Tucker comes alive with 2 hits of his own. I mean, they need both of those guys. Seiya's been doing his thing, but Tucker and PCA, if they're going to do this, needs to be those 2 guys. And I mean, they both did their job in this one. And I think that was a big part of it, but I still look at that pitching staff and say, they're getting it done, even though you look at them and say, I don't trust a ton of these guys. And I think you got to give them credit for that. But you also, I think, got to give credit to Counsell for making the most of kind of what he's got and deploying guys in the right spots.
I do feel good about the Brewers winning tomorrow, though, because I'm still not sold on this Cubs offense.
What's the pitching matchup?
I think Freddie's going to go. I know Matthew Boyd's going to go for Chicago. It hasn't been announced yet for Milwaukee, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Freddie went Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then he'd be pitching on that 5th day. I think he's going to go. It's either going to be him or a bullpen game, which means the Cubs aren't probably going to hit. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you a ton of credit for hitting Priester because I felt like any team in the playoffs, the Tigers would have put up 12 runs. The Guardians would have hit him.
Anybody else. And
then they don't get to anybody else. Like he scored all 4 of your runs against Quinn Priester in a complete blow-up inning where he looked terrible. And that was your best offensive showing of the playoffs. That was the first time they scored 4 runs in a postseason game, Aram.
Which is crazy because they got a 3-run homer in another game.
I know exactly. Like Seiya Suzuki hit that 3-run home run, and then what? Nothing happened. So this offense, I don't have faith can string together consistent ABs throughout their lineup.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me that the Brewers, yes, is the bullpen going to be a little bit worn down after that type of bullpen game? Maybe, but who am I to doubt them? Or it's Freddie Peralta, who gave up a home run to Michael Busch and then a different home run. I forget exactly who hit it, but those were the only runs. So let's say the wind's blowing in a little bit at Wrigley. Is he going to give up those home runs again? If he's not, the Cubs are probably not going to score, and then the Brewers bullpen is going to come in and end it. Yeah. So I think it's going to look similar to what happened with the Yankees and the Blue Jays today. The Cubs showed out. The Yankees showed out. The Blue Jays shut the door. And then here come the Brewers. The Brewers are just the better team. It is what it is. I've just been disappointed with the Cubs because I said going into the playoffs, I'm high on them because look at what PCA has been doing. Look at what Kyle Tucker's been doing. If those 2 guys can get hot, this Cubs offense can really get going. But then it's all right, now I'm really just watching Seiya Suzuki and Michael Busch. And if I'm watching Seiya Suzuki and Michael Busch, because what happens when the Brewers have now seen these bullpen arms again?
Yeah,
right? They're going to come back in, and then it might be a Tigers-Mariners scenario, except the Brewers have seen these arms all season long. And I don't care if the Cubs have seen these Brewers bullpen arms all season long. They're too damn good.
Yeah.
To me, it just feels like a wrap here. Maybe I'm being too mean. I just didn't see anything from this game to make me think, oh, yeah, the Cubs. The Phillies, on the other hand, a series we're about to get to, don't look now, Dodgers. That was a really good showing. And then they have Chris Sanchez going game 4. But this one, it just feels like a wrap to me. I hope I'm wrong so we get game 5. Like, I pray I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Is Robert Gasser on the playoff roster? He hasn't thrown yet. But I think
I don't know.
So Gasser just coming back off of TJ, like he's a guy that you could get some innings out of. I'm really interested to just see what they're going to do. But the good news is for the Brewers is that McGill didn't throw, Uribe didn't throw. So you have both those guys available for maybe 1+. And then, I mean, they're not going to throw Miz, but they're probably not going to throw Ashby. But you look at everybody else, they could probably piece it together. I would probably want to have a starter go here. So it might make sense to have Freddie on shorter rest and then, have all of your relievers a little bit fresher if it did get to that other game. But it's going to be fun to see how they approach that. I really, the only way I can see the Cubs do this thing is if Kyle Tucker looks like the MVP candidate he's capable of being and just was not able to be this year. And, I think just putting together some good swings and some good ABs help. And then if PCA is the MVP candidate that he was in the first half of the season, both those guys need to have huge swings. And I think it needs to turn into a little bit of a slugfest for the Cubs to have a chance here. I just think it's unrealistic for them to put up consistent zeros. But I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen that way. I just think it's really hard. But I think given that at least there's a little bit of a question mark on both pitching staff situations, if it can turn into a slugfest, this Cubs offense is capable of getting hot. There's a lot of good hitters in this lineup. And that could be how they steal one more. And then anything can happen in game 5. But that's really the only way I can see it happening is they kind of go bombs away here. And they got a lot of guys that can do that, right? Bush is hitting homers left and right. Kyle Tucker is capable of doing that. Seiya's hitting homers left and right. Ian Happ's more than capable. PCA is more than capable. So that's kind of what I'm looking at and saying maybe that's the one way they can make this thing happen against what'll be still, even if Freddie starts, a kind of myriad of pitchers here.
Yeah. I feel like Matthew Boyd's arm is falling off. It's not even his fault. He just doesn't look the same like he did. It's like the Brewers are probably going to jump all over him. And then if you have Freddie and Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
So it's a wrap, but we'll see because the Brewers have not announced Freddie. If they go with a bullpen game, that bullpen, got a lot of use today. You're not able to go back to Quintana. It might be Mizorowski. What does he look like off a little bit of that adrenaline where we saw just 104 every single pitch? At that point, he's impossible to hit, but we've seen what he is at 100, right? And he ended the season poorly. So it'll be interesting to see how the Brewers manage the pitching staff. But if you're telling me Freddie's going, I'm picking the Brewers.
Yeah, no, I'm leaning that way too. And if it goes to 5, then that means the Brewers staff's probably set up pretty well. Do you think there's any chance this Dodgers-Phillies series can go to 5?
Can we do a quick whoosh?
One more whoosh. Before we get there, I do want to give my final prediction here on that series.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go Brewers take – I think – Brewers take care of business. Yeah, Brewers take care of business next game. I'm with you.
We're aligned there.
All right. Be right back. This is the one that I'm praying goes 5 because these teams are both too fun to watch square off against each other for us to not get a couple more games.
I know.
Phillies, Dodgers. Thank you, Phillies, for not folding. And thank you, Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
For waking up. He's here. And that might be the difference. That's what I said in my quote card, right? Like they need that Schwarber to have a shot. And look what happens.
Let's talk about the game. Phillies win 8-2. Tommy Edman started the scoring, and that would be basically the last we would hear from the Dodgers offense. Kyle Schwarber finally answered in a huge way, hitting a home run 706 feet per Peter Vision. Per Dumbass StatCast, they got him at 455, just robbing him of distance. And then Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh tacked on 2 more with an RBI single and a sac fly. Yamamoto, shortest outing since like July. Phillies jumped on him, kind of, for Yamamoto standards, of course.
Yeah.
And then in the 8th, it all came crashing down on Clayton Kershaw. JT Realmuto homered, Trey Turner drove in a run on a single, and Kyle Schwarber hit a home run that bounced off the wall. He had the shortest home run I've ever seen and the longest home run I've ever seen in that game, and it was really as simple as that. You know what it kind of felt like? And I I don't want this to be disrespectful to Clayton Kershaw, because Clayton Kershaw is truly one of the greatest players I have ever seen throw. But Dave Roberts leaving him out there, it reminded me of some of those games
With
that
Brent
against
Honeywell.
the Mets where they were punting, basically.
Yeah, Brent
Where they
Honeywell
were
was
saying,
just
all right,
tweeted up.
we'll just move on to the next. And what did the Dodgers do? They won in 6. They punted 2 and it didn't matter. That's how it felt like to me. But the reason when we were talking about, Brewers Cubs and why I felt like that one's a slam dunk and this one might not be, Christopher Sanchez is throwing. And if you're telling me I got Chris Sanchez, like I know it's glass now in game 4 and I know the Dodgers are great and I know it's in LA and of course they can win, but I got Chris Sanchez. I just have so much faith in him. I don't care if it's in Philly. I don't care if it's on the road. And I know the Dodgers did pretty well against him in his first start, but it's Christopher Sanchez. Like I keep coming back to it because this guy's going to finish second in the National League Cy Young voting this year. He's a walking ground ball, but he also has a changeup where he could rack up 10 strikeouts. Like this is an outing where he could absolutely dominate. And then what? You're going back to Philly. But in this game, I want to shout out Ranger Suarez. I want to shout out Aaron Nola.
No,
because
they were
2
great.
shutout innings from Nola, and then Ranger, he steps in, he gives up that home run to Edman. And I'm thinking to myself, it's exactly what I said, Aram. Ranger going into the playoffs did not look his best. And this is just the same Ranger who gets hot and he gets cold. Edman homers. All right, we're still in this cold stretch. But then what does he do? This cold-blooded motherfucker. I love him so much. I love Ranger Suarez so much. He just bears down. He's changing speeds. You never see the same pitch twice. You never see the same location twice. Just absolutely surgical. I love watching him pitch. And he diced up an elite Dodgers offense. Shout out Ranger Suarez. What a performance.
When they combined for 7 innings of 1-run ball, 7 Ks, 1 walk between Nola and Suarez. Yeah, Nola was a sharp. I know it was 2 innings, but 2 innings of 1 hit, no walk, 3K ball. Like beauty. It's perfect. Sure, just as you drew it up. Then Kerkering only has to throw 11 pitches. You use Taijuan Walker to help get you to the promised land, and Banks threw 1 pitch. So, like, you basically got through this game without burning really any of your relief guys. Kerkering's going to be fresh and good to go. And again, then the rest of your guys didn't really matter. So I don't know what this means for like Nola. Could that mean that like he's available in a presumptive game 5? I would think so. So that's the other cool part. But like they pretty much preserved their whole pen, and they'll all be ready to be all hands on deck next game. But as you mentioned, you have your best starter really going right now, where like Sanchez can. He was fantastic in game 1. They got to him for a couple runs late. He was really, really, really good. And if he gives them that start again with the bullpen arms they have available, I mean, you can get 1+ out of Duran. You can get another inning out of Kerkering. But I feel like they're in a pretty good spot here. And I don't trust Robert.
Here, I see where you're going with this because we both are aligned on this. It has to be Sanchez for 7 to Kerkering or Duran for them to have a chance. It just is. And it wouldn't be against other teams. The Dodgers are just too damn good.
I say I don't trust.
You have to be at your best. Like I like all of a lot of those bullpen arms. I think they're good. It's just if you're telling me they're coming in the 6th and the 5th, let's say, or the 7th, because Sanchez has a fine outing, the Phillies are done. It has to be an electric Sanchez outing for 7 innings, handing it off to Kerkering, then to Duran, and that they might win that game. But they can, and that's the point, because then you're going back to game 5 in Philly and anything could happen. That's why this series feels a little bit closer to me. Now, what I will say is, do I still think the Dodgers are going to find a way to win? Yeah, because their bullpen is also rested. Tyler Glasnow, still some of the best stuff in baseball. And you still got that offense who just saw Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah.
That's not a good recipe. But the Phillies have a path here because I didn't think they'd win game 3. I really didn't. I wasn't even thinking about the path. But after that win, now Sanchez game 4, I can see it. The series ain't over.
No, it's not. But you're right. I mean, like, someone, though, is going to have to, unless Sanchez gives you 7, someone's going to have to give you a clean inning that you don't.
I just don't have anyone else. I don't
either, but yeah, maybe they can do it. But the perfect world is in the recipe is, can we somehow get 6+?
Yeah.
Right? Like to where then we can just deploy another lefty in a matchup and get to the 7th. But they need at least 6 and change, I think, from Sanchez, and then it's going to be tough. But the fact that they have a pitcher here that like they have a legit shot that can give them 7 or 6 plus, it puts them in a good spot, and then you can get more than an inning out of Duran. But I'm trying to talk myself into the bullpen situation, but even having some guys rested, like, okay, Robertson's rested, I wouldn't even care like if he's fully rested or not. Like, I don't trust him right now. Strom and Banks are good if you want to go get some lefties, but you have the lefty starter. It's interesting. So I feel good about them relative to where we were at yesterday, obviously, or the day before. And maybe an extra day to get better for Bader. Like, he's still available off the bench. I still think that's a bat that can help them. But just seeing Schwarber wake up was absolutely huge. And not just Schwarber, right? You got 2 knocks, including a double from Harper. Trey Turner had 3 hits. Like, those are the guys that got to do it. Like, it's going to need to be the top of the lineup. I know Bohm had 2 hits, but I just don't have a lot of confidence in him continuing to come up big. JT hitting a homer is big, but like, it's got to be Turner, Schwarber, and Harper. Like, those guys need to be just manufacturing runs. And not sorry, I shouldn't say manufacture. Then people are going to start bunting everywhere.
Well,
But
Trey
those are the
Turner
guys-
already bunted to start the game. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. But those are the guys that need to be producing, and they did in this one. I don't think it's a coincidence that they won handedly. So we have a chance for this to be a series, and I think Sanchez is going to throw well. I do believe, even though they just saw him.
I do too.
I don't think it matters.
I would ride into war with that guy.
Yep.
Like, I think again, I feel confident in him, and I have so much money pending on the Dodgers World Series. That's how confident I am in Christopher Sanchez, because I think he can go anywhere, anytime, and dominate any lineup. It's just a matter of if he's going to do it or not. Do the Dodgers make an adjustment? Do they put up enough of a fight to get into a tie game? And then you get a bullpen battle where they're at home. And yes, the Dodgers bullpen isn't great, but I'm sure they'll be able to piece it together. And the offense is just so damn prolific. But here's the thing that's worrying me about the Dodgers, because I do talk about how great the offense is, and it's been objectively great. Andy Paez can't hit anything. He's hitting 053 right now. Shohei Ohtani. Every single time Judge gets out, makes the national media. Every single time Shohei gets out, it's like cute. He's hitting 174.
He did throw.
That's
well,
a problem.
At least.
I mean, Freddie hasn't been great, but
That's the thing. Like, this offense could sputter again.
They're not like, it can't just be Mookie and Teoscar and Kike Hernandez and Max
It
Muncy.
can be Kike.
I mean, they're so awesome.
It's always fucking
they're
Kike.
awesome. They need, I mean, if Ohtani is Ohtani, they're never going to lose. If Freddie is Freddie, they're never going to lose. But those 2 guys weren't today, and they haven't really been. And you were teetering in those games against the Phillies. You were. We'll see what happens.
And it's not like
those 2 guys have to step up.
And if I'm slumping as a left-handed hitter, or not even slumping, just I really want to heat up as a left-handed hitter, I don't think I'm necessarily thrilled to be seeing Christopher Sanchez. So that's
Sanchez owned Ohtani when he faced him. Owned him.
Ohtani is a career 211, 211, 211 slash line against Christopher Sanchez. So I mean, it's that is a guy that could potentially neutralize your best. Mookie Betts is a career 222, 222, 222 against Christopher Sanchez.
No,
Freddie
slump.
Freeman
Sanchez
is a career 154, 214, 231. And these aren't 5 at-bat sample sizes. These are 13, 14, 19 at-bat sample sizes here. Now, the flip side is Teoscar Hernandez, 2 homers, 2 doubles. He's slugging 867 in 15 at-bats against Sanchez. So that it's going to need to be him, I think. But to your point, this is like the guys that you're afraid of didn't swing it well in game 3 and have not swung it well against Sanchez. And so I think the Phillies have a shot here, no doubt about it. And it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. I think this has a chance, this game, and I know it's going to suck now because I said this. I think this has a chance to be the best game of the postseason. This upcoming today.
I like that.
Dodgers Phillies game, because I think you're going to get a little bit of everything.
I love that.
Impressive pitching. I think you're going to get some late big swings. I just think you're going to get some really good baseball, and I think some desperation, because the Dodgers are smart. These guys have won World Series. They've been there, done that. They know that if they let this thing get to game 5 anything can happen.
Anything could happen.
They need
And
to
you're in the
win it here.
bank.
In the bank. They don't want to do that.
No.
So I think this is going to be one where Dave Roberts says, I don't know how much I want to save for game 5. I might throw a lot of my best guys. And it's going to come down to, I think, Roki Sasaki in a big spot, and we'll see. But I'm
faith
excited.
in that? Is that crazy? Like, I have faith in that.
I do too.
What a story. What a story. We counted him out, but like we should have. Any person who goes through what Roki did, where you lose all of your velocity, you get sent down to the minor leagues. Nobody was expecting him to come up. Like
the rehab outing sucked.
People are dunking on us in social media, and I understand why. If you're a Dodgers fan, you get to dunk on us. You get Roki Sasaki. That's awesome. But ask yourself, none of you expected Roki to be this. You expected Roki to be Yohan Duran? Come on. It's incredible. It speaks to how good the Dodgers organization is, that they can go and they can calm him down, get him back to what he was, and he can come back as this weapon in the bullpen.
I thought this would happen next year. I thought they'd transition him to the bullpen. I said I always thought the starting thing just didn't totally add up with the way the Arsenal works. That the fallback would be bullpen where the stuff would play up, and that's why I would always kind of use the Duran comp. And how do you do that in the same season? When they're being hurt
in like a month.
Testament to him not giving up on the year either, too. He could have mailed it in. So, and here he is now potentially being able to pitch leverage innings and potentially close the door in a World Series if they get there. So let's wrap up. What's your prediction?
One last thing. Just one quick thing. We haven't even seen Tanner Scott yet.
Is he alive?
Isn't that interesting? Because we've seen plenty of Trinan, and it's not like Trinan had a better year than Tanner Scott.
Is he on the roster?
No, he's on the roster.
I like gaslight myself sometimes when we haven't seen guys. I'm like, did I missee that? Is he not on the postseason roster? He wasn't this is the craziest part. 56 minutes ago from Fabian Ardaya. Of course, the Athletic covers Dodgers. Tanner Scott was not at the ballpark for personal reasons, Dave Roberts said. So hopefully everything's okay.
Whoa.
But that might explain maybe why we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
But how does that? You should be able to taxi squad some guy or something. That's crazy. So hopefully everything's okay there. But yeah, but even earlier before that, we hadn't seen him at all. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's again, hopefully everything's okay with him. Cause I literally just saw this as I opened Twitter. Cause I wanted to search and see if there's anything out there. This was minutes ago. So hopefully he's okay on that front, but regardless, like if everything was good, all things were equal. I don't know how much confidence they'd even have in where or how they would deploy him there either. So I think his availability for the next game is interesting too, because it's still a guy that at some point in the series, especially if it goes to 5, you need to use. It's all hands on deck.
So my prediction, and I hate to do this, but I promised myself at the beginning of the playoffs, especially when I saw them come from behind against Philly, I'm not betting against the Dodgers for the entire time. I'm not picking against them. I think we're in the middle of a dynasty. Now, could the Phillies prove me wrong? Could Chris Sanchez come out and just dominate like he always does? Absolutely, he could. The Phillies are what I believe to be, the Blue Jays are making a run for it, and so are the Brewers, but the Phillies are a World Series contender, a true World Series contender. They can beat the Dodgers. Will they? I'm not picking against LA. I'm just not going to. Give me LA.
I think Dodgers win in 5. I think they go back to the bank and win it. But I think the Phillies squeeze this one out because baseball makes no sense. But
I also want that to happen.
I want that to happen really badly.
Please give us game 5.
Yeah. I think I want game 5 too bad to where it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
we'll see.
I think Sanchez has just a vintage performance. They kick it over to Duran and they are able to force it to game 5. But then that's where experience, not that the Phillies aren't experienced, but Dodgers having just been there prevails, and they go to the bank and they win it, and that's going to be my final prediction there.
Love it, because then that's Blake Snell again, and it's like, good luck.
Oh god, yeah,
God, he's so good.
He doesn't give a shit about the bank.
I don't even think he hears any. Like,
I don't think he cares about it.
No, he doesn't care about anything. He's just a stone cold assassin.
Yeah,
so that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Thank you to everyone joining us on YouTube. Hopefully you enjoyed my tears Fink said yesterday that he was hoping on his episode I would be crying, but nope. And Aram, you little shit, you avoided the one where the Yankees won, and then look, you're here for the Yankees lost. And I even texted you because I knew they would lose today.
Just had to time it up perfectly.
I texted you, and I was like, "You're coming on for tomorrow's loss." I knew they were going to lose. Even the Yankees lose. Blue Jays, congratulations. Mariners Tigers game 5 is going to be electric. But tomorrow on tap, Phillies Dodgers, Brewers Cubs. And Peter, sorry for your Yankees, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, Argenis. Thank you. Thank you for everyone on YouTube. Again, if you enjoy, please.
Yeah, thank you all for hanging out with us. But also thank you to those listening on podcast platforms and everything. It's been a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And best way to support, rate and review Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. And again, the best way to support, guys, without spending a dime, just like and comment down below on the YouTube live stream. Thanks for everybody for joining. For Aram Layton, I'm Peter Apple. We're going to see you tomorrow. With that, thank you, everybody.